called insecurity, occasioned by the activities of the unknown government. We brought it into the BRS minimum, and the Imo State is relatively now peaceful.
Governor Hope hopes that as days pass by, the new platform created by this research document will assist in further developing the state and the region to its full potentials. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The Olu of Warri Ogiame Atuase III says the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC's public-private partnership initiative will impact positively on the region. He stated this when the management of NDDC paid him a courtesy visit in his palace. Osinachi Abraham reports.
Managing Director NDDC Samuel Obuko laid management of the organization to the palace of the Olu of Warri Ogiame Atuase III. The visit is to solicit his support through the public-private partnership initiative instituted by the board to drive the region's development. While proposing the completion of the Koko-Heye Roads project in Warri North local government area, which would connect Warri to Escravos, the NDDC boss appeals to the monarch to assist the commission in projecting the partnership to multinational companies operating in his kingdom.
So this is part of expanding our PPP scheme. But one major project that has actually been close and dear to our heart is we felt to make Warri Kingdom come back to life, we needed to connect Warri Kingdom to Escravos.
Atuase III commended the efforts of the NDDC in reactivating the construction of the road that leads to Escravos, noting that they would boost economic activities in the kingdom, the region, and the country at large. The monarch assures the theme of his support.
I assure you that anything that concerns development beyond the shores of Warri Kingdom, anything that concerns development in the Niger Delta, I am your #1 advocate.
Ogiame Atuase III is the 21st Olu of Warri. From Warri, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
Now let's bring you up to speed with news in the political and electoral sphere. All is now set for the 2023 general elections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu gave the assurance after inspecting the National Coalition Center and ad hoc staff undergoing training in Abuja. Mia Ogidi reports.
The 2023 general elections just a week away, and the INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu away from his office to the Government Secondary School, Gariki, Abuja, inspecting ad hoc staff undergoing training. From here off to the International Conference Center, Abuja, housing 3 major venues for the elections: the National Coalition Center, the Situation Room, and Press Center.
We're going to get feedbacks from all the states, what's going on in the states, and also we'll be having press briefing. And in a few days' time, we're going to be having daily briefings here also.
Naira scarcity and the protest generated in some parts of the country, not threats to the elections, the INEC chairman assured.
But as I keep saying, we will not suffer any hindrances. What is happening around the country, the protest that you have mentioned, this is an issue that we are going to discuss with the security agencies. By this time next week, Nigerians will be voting in over 176,000 polling units nationwide. And the outcome of that process for presidential election will be compiled here, and the choice made by Nigerians for the next president of the country will also be announced at this venue.
That is an assurance coming from a confident national chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to Nigerians that next week, Saturday, 25 of February 2023, presidential and National Assembly elections will hold. That means by Sunday or Monday, Nigerians will know their president and vice president-elect, as well as members of the National Assembly. Until then, my name is Mia Ogidi from the National Coalition Center, ICC, Abuja.
Thank you, Mia. Presidential candidate Bola Tinubu, APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu has promised to consolidate on efforts to return the lost glory of Borno State if elected in next week's presidential election. He made this commitment, among others, at the APC presidential and governorship campaign rally in Maiduguri, rounding off the state rallies of the presidential candidate. Musbau Dan Wahab was there.
In Maiduguri was an unusual entourage, a visitor and a former chief host. A son of the soil, former governor of the state and serving senator was here with his principal, Ashiwaju, and other political family members to seek home support for a much greater aspiration. It was apparently a visit to fulfill all righteousness by the APC presidential campaign train as local party loyalists pulled their weight with their turnout in this frontier of the northeast. It was a full traveling list of governors and senators who were on ground to show solidarity for one of their own. Borno State residents are grateful for today, but still long for the halcyon years of yesterday when it earned its name, the home of peace. And Bola Tinubu is committing himself to this cause in addition to other social and economic development programs he plans if elected.
You have summoned the prevention, you have summoned homelessness, some people created orphans. We will take care of all of you.
We are going to protect the integrity of our people and our nation. We will improve on the basic amenities.
Borno State will not discourage anyone from voting. As for me, I have promised to move the state forward. For the first time, Borno will be hoping to take the chance and produce an elected representative of the presidency in the next week's election. From Maiduguri, Musbau and Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the amalgamated APC support group Saturday took to the major streets of Abuja, the nation's capital, for a pre-election rally. Salio Gwanara reports that the group is the focal organization of more than 2,000 APC support groups working towards the victory of APC.
It is exactly 1 week to the presidential election, and it looks like the All Progressives Congress amalgamated support groups are already in victory mode, as showcased at a victory rally that terminated at the Buhari House, National Secretariat of the APC. Here, members were challenged to increase grassroots voter mobilization and translate their numerical strength into votes for the APC.
It's an obligation for every and each member of this party to go back to his various polling units and make sure that we have delivered the mandate of the party in producing the presidential candidate.
To ensure that up to ward level they are there so that they can vote for our principle, guide our votes and ensure our victory.
We've seen so much obstacles that is coming forth, but by special grace we will keep jumping the obstacle with Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. By His grace, we shall smile again.
Meanwhile, the APC Progressive Young Women Forum has taken their voter awareness campaign to students at the University of Abuja.
The sensitization program gave our students opportunity to learn from experts on how to, the steps to take to ensure that they exercise their franchise.
Every eligible voter and a citizen of Nigeria is required to be part of the electionary process come February 25th.
Because they must be educated on the voting process. So that's why we have come around to tell them that they should come out in mass.
Voter sensitization activities are on the increase as the nation counts down Decision Day. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Supporters of Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi are optimistic of victory in the next Saturday election. The various solidarity groups took to the streets to galvanize support for the party. David Ire reports.
The various support groups are together to drum support for Labour Party with this show tagged Obedient Global March 2023. From the Eagle Square, the youths took to the major streets, preaching the gospel of good tidings of what Nigeria stands to gain if Peter Obi is elected before betting the show at the city gates.
Keep your faith strong. Do not be scared. Do not cower. Do not lose faith, because we shall win this election.
We are going to start now moving to the wards and polling unit on the 19th, 22 until 23rd. That is what we want to do, because it's the final push. It's now or never.
So I'm urging everybody to come out, vote for Peter Obi and secure Nigeria for yourself.
In the next 6 days, we will go to touch every single grain of sand in this country.
Vote Mama, Papa, Pikin across board.
The roadshow, which is holding nationwide, has at its theme, Now or Never. In Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
Still on the campaign train, the PDP presidential campaign train hit Adamawa State, home state of the candidate Atiku Abubakar. Onoto Yakubu reports that while the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar was making another rallying call to the cause, members of 5 other political parties backed the PDP presidential ticket.
It was a homecoming for the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and his campaign team. Host Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri of Adamawa State, who is also seeking re-election, led the charge of party stakeholders to address the supporters.
That the country is in dire need, that the country is in pieces, that we are separated. Atiku will come and do the job of unifying us. And then I can assure you, no any candidate in any other party can defeat this candidate. This is what I call Adamawa formula. Unity of interest and ensuring that we perfect it. To further advance the cause of democracy and good governance in Nigeria, we, the leaders of the 5 political parties, have decided to adopt the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, to go at it. I don't need to tell you about Atiku Abubakar. You know Atiku Abubakar more than myself.
The candidate, Atiku Abubakar, told the party's supporters in Adamawa that the actualization of his rescue and recovery mission will address insecurity.
To live by our promises, to make sure that we have a united country, that we have a peaceful country, that we have a buoyant economy for our country. We are looking for experienced men with the capacity, with the knowledge of Nigeria that can unite us, that can secure this country.
Atiku Abubakar expressed the confidence that his message of hope will go beyond the campaign grounds. From Yola, Adamawa State, Onoto Yakubu, NTA News.
To other matters now, Justice Halima Sadiya Muhammad has taken oath of allegiance as the substantive Chief Judge of Gombe State. Emmanuel Akile reports that Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahya, who administered the oath, urged her to contribute to the needed transformation in the judicial system of Gombe State.
She takes oath of allegiance as the 4th substantive Chief Judge of Gombe State. Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahya approved her appointment on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council.
The importance of having such judicial officers with high levels of experience and moral rectitude at this moment in our national history cannot be overemphasized. It is undeniable that unbridled corruption, violent crimes, and numerous other forms of criminal behaviors have bedeviled our nation.
Justice Halima Sadiya pledged to do her best in confronting the challenges in the judicial system.
With little touch here and there, I think things should go right for the judiciary. We have started introducing reforms within the 3 months that I've been in office as acting, and going forward, we'll continue to do that.
I'm the happiest person. You could see when she was sworn in, she was so emotional. That shows that she's going to do her job honestly without the way she was sworn in, that's the way she's going to be. And so we're happy to have a woman as a chief judge.
Until her appointment, she served in the position in acting capacity after the retirement of Justice Joseph Ahmad Awak in 2022. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
We'll take our first breather. When we return, our conversation on electoral violence will begin. Do stay.
Untold. We restored democracy. We initiated due process. We created the EFCC and ICPC. We brought Nigeria out of debt by achieving $18 billion worth of relief and $30 billion overall reduction. We revived the rail system. We upgraded agriculture. We brought in the mobile phone and digitalized Nigeria. Under the PDP, the Nigerian economy was the strongest in Africa. Though Nigerians made their choice, today we all know better. Nigerians, do not despair. Hope is in the horizon. We are putting in the work and refreshing our drive to rescue and rebuild Nigeria. Together, let's make it happen. PDP. Power to the people.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was saying things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Haruna, Bisi, Akman, Unduka, how will I want to do on election day?
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I retire, they vote. Now, broom, I go put my hand over Tinubu. On election day, I go take my PVC. When I retire, they vote. Now, broom, I go put my hand over Tinubu.
People of Nigeria, make we all come out on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president. Make Nigeria for better. Make you put your hand for APC, the party where show broom. Not forget now broom you go put your hand in. Bam!
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I retire, they vote. I go put my hand over Tinubu.
We don't like to eat better, more nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. No cubes, that's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
My son has always dreamt of being in the spotlight. That's why I give him Bornvita for everyday vitality that gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Bornvita, strength to dream.
Great people of our land, at the dawn of light, did you know that while our gallant men were fighting off bandits and insurgents, we were also laying a solid foundation for the infrastructure revolution to spark the growth of our economy? Did you know that the revolution stops not with infrastructure? Now we reap harvests of progress in agriculture with more than 4 million farmers anchored to the Anchor Borrower Scheme for 23 diverse cultivations, with fertilizer revolution, rice revolution, export revolution, as we now grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Now, as we stand at this dawn of light, let us move forward with renewed hope. let's elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima as President and Vice President to birth the greater Nigeria of our collective dreams.
This message is brought to you by the National Working Committee of the APC.
APC Progress!
You're welcome back. By this time next week, the mood of the nation would be that of expectation for the emergence of a president-elect. But achieving this comes with a peaceful environment where the electorate will be free to cast their ballot. In this respect, Timothy Yusuf in this report tells us measures to achieve an atmosphere devoid of electoral violence.
Call on the security, intelligence and law enforcement agencies to arrest, investigate and prosecute anyone involved in violent conduct, including incendiary statements capable of inciting the public and causing a breach of the peace contrary to the provisions of the Electoral Act.
The seemingly disturbing security situation in Nigeria, many believe, has negatively affected the conduct of elections in recent years. There have been increased militarization of the voting environment due to violence often perpetrated by supporters of desperate politicians.
Today, it is an abhorrence and crudity, if not savagery, to see state governors denying campaign venues to political parties other than their own. This is crude, undemocratic, primitive, and uncivilized.
Nigeria's situation may have become rife as elections approach. As INEC intensifies preparations, on the other hand, for this year's elections, experts observe the situation calls for concerns, and if not checked, could undermine the conduct of free and fair elections.
Beyond vote buying, there must also be decisive action against negative mobilization, incitement and violence.
While political players continue to perpetrate election violence, the proliferation of small and light weapons is considered a major threat to the polls, but government is already deploying various interventions to right off the wrong.
While security agencies strategize new measures to counter the rising wave of violence in the polity, the NSA hope that the second phase of the signing of peace accord by the National Peace Committee will be fruitful in de-escalating the violent trend.
The spate of violence in Nigeria may affect voter turnout in this year's general elections if there was no effort to check the trend. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Although security operatives in Lagos are stretching their tentacles towards mopping out locally made and imported arms that could be detrimental to peaceful polls, but the responsibility of curbing election violence, key players agree, rest more on sensitizing the public on the dangers to the nation's hard-earned democracy. Michael Olale reports.
Despite gravitating towards attaining 24 years of unbroken democratic experience, Nigeria has had its fair share when it comes to election violence. It is a worrisome trend which may be seen as a means of unlawfully subverting the wish of the people, since violence at any polling unit could translate into cancellation. Hence, Lagosians believe the effect of election disturbances also rests on the shoulders of perpetrators.
If the government is able to put a strategy in place to the extent that political talks and thuggery before, during, and after election are caged, 90% of electoral violence would have been resolved.
Respondents say political parties have a lot of role to play in moderating the gesture, altercations, and dispositions of their supporters, both online and offline, before, during, and after elections.
The rhetorics of politicians, they are not helping matters.
Public analysts of the view that although the introduction of technology into the process of electing new leaders is reducing the spate of violence, but there is still need for increased sensitization.
We must partake in keeping sanity wherever we find ourselves, as INEC staff, as government agency staff, as party representatives.
Security operatives in Lagos are collaborating to nip any form of disturbances in the bud.
We're working, and cultism, thuggery, it's a problem that we have amongst our youths. These are the hands that are used sometimes for electoral violence, but we are engaging community leaders.
Stakeholders say the process to curbing election violence should be approached from a holistic point of view, with the central message amplifying the effects to the generality of Nigerians if not properly managed. In Lagos, Michael Olaneye, NTA News.
And joining me in the studio is Ezenwa Nwago. He's the chairman, Partners for Electoral Reforms and board member, Yaga. You're welcome to NTA Weekend 5.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. Electoral violence or political violence, as we may call it, is a cancer. Some people call it a cancer that's eaten into the very fabric of our democratic process in Nigeria. In your opinion, why does this persist every election cycle?
Well, I think our recent experience has shown that it's on the decline, and that is because more and more election is becoming more and more competitive. Unlike in times past when politicians adopted the do or die attitude to winning. With the introduction of the smart card reader in 2011 and all of that, though in 2011 there was post-election violence, but in 2015 there was a reduction. In 2019 it came down, and in the off-cycle elections we didn't see quite a lot of that, but we saw episodic attacks in Kogi, for instance, where a woman was burnt alive, and even now in somewhere in Izikebi, where you also have another woman who was murdered and her husband injured. These are triggers of, first and foremost, intolerance, and that intolerance is a trigger for violence, where people cannot understand the concept of contests. They want to win at all costs, and that greed, I like to call it greed for power, is part of what has become something that politicians and their candidates inherited and are not being weaned off from. And the reason is because there is, if you remember, after the 2011, the Justice Lemu Committee on Election Violence was set up. The white paper was released, and as we speak, it didn't seem like...
Has it been implemented?
That's what I'm saying. So our consequence management capability is low in terms of punishing people when they do wrong, especially when we have a mindset that things that happen in politics should go with politics. But crimes committed during election are not exceptional crimes, because our laws are very replete with what should happen if you assault anybody, if you murder somebody during elections, Christmas or Salah. It doesn't make any difference. The laws are very clear what needs to happen. So, but the attitude of both the politicians themselves and those who have responsibility to call them to order has been more of let's after elections there's a lot of noise that is made about what has happened, but nobody follows through, because deterrent is important. If people go to jail for actions, that crimes they commit during elections, and that becomes an example, it will be very pointed to the fact that if you do this, you will not get away. But once people know that once they do something bad, they will get away with it will continue.
Well, the IGP of police says that they are good to go. Can you get your assessment on the security preparations so far?
Well, I like the things that I hear. I mean, 400 plus security agents will be deployed. When you have about 93,000 polling units with a voting potential of 93 point something million people, you should know that 400,000 is inadequate it means that there has to be other measures. You need to then rally both the traditional and moral institutions and mobilize in a way that citizens themselves understand the need to protect this democracy.
So how imperative is political, education for the...
No, it's important. So what I was talking about, I don't know if you have seen any election security plan for 2023 that you can engage. I've not seen. I may be wrong. I know there are pockets of conversations about deployments and all of those things, but there has to be a coherent document where people in the sense of transparency can say this is the national election security plan for 2023. And I've made this point severally. I don't know if there's anybody who has seen it. So political education is important, but mindset that has already been built, we need to wean ourselves off this election thing, that once it's election you can do anything and get away with it. And it is the politicians that have incentivized that idea, because they are the ones who will call the security agents, they are the ones who will try to compromise them. So the concentration should be on having a conversation with our political parties, their candidates, and say, look, it is important that we don't do anything that would truncate this hard-won democracy, because it's very important to always remember that this democracy that we have had, and this is our, I think, 5th election now, the 7th election, sorry, and that is something to be happy
proud
about.
Of 24 years of
24
uninterrupted.
years of uninterrupted civil rule. Our transition into democracy will take much more than 7 cycles of elections.
Okay, Ezema, we'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation will continue. Don't go away.
Industrial Training Fund, ITF, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, cordially invite the general public to the official closing ceremony of the National Industrial Skills Development Program, NISDP. His Excellency, Right Honorable Barrister Simon Bakolalong, CON, the Executive Governor of Plateau State, will be the special guest of honor, while the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Richard Adeni Adebayo, and the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Ambassador Miriam Yalwaji Katagum, will be distinguished guests of honor. The Director General and Chief Executive of Industrial Training Fund, Sir Joseph N. Ari, will be the chief host. Date, Tuesday, 21st February 2023. Venue, ITF Multipurpose Hall, Headquarters Complex, Jos. Time, 10 a.m. Invited guests are expected to be seated by 9:30 a.m. ITF, developing the nation's human resource. Announcer, ITF Management.
Great people of our land, now as we stand at the dawn of light, did you know that while our gallant men were fighting off bandits and insurgents, we were also laying a solid foundation for the infrastructure revolution to spark the growth of our economy? Did you know that the APC government has put our trains back in motion? That we have completed and commissioned 569 combined kilometers connecting Nigerians to friends, families, and trade by trains, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs across the value chain. Now, as we stand at this dawn of light, let us move forward with renewed hope. Let's elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima as President and Vice President to birth the greater Nigeria of our collective dreams.
This message is brought to you by the National Working Committee of the APC.
APC Progress!
If you want to become something, become a child again. Why be patient? If you must worry, then worry about winning. Why worry about germs? When you come home, bring tales and stories. Why bring in germs?
Shield your families from germs. When Dettol is a part of every household bucket, then you and your family can stay protected from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Everyday use of Dettol keeps my loved ones protected.
We don't like to eat better, more nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. Knorr Cubes, that's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
My people, my name is Emeka. Mekus Kamat. Let me get all this motor. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when we get bust, now my eye open. I don't know that 419 be. Now when EFCC babam, now they come bab me too. Now he make me they warn you. All of them when they do business like me, where they carry big money. Well, sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. Yeah, make una shine in my eye because the special control unit against